We learned in the Mishnah that Anachri ve'akudi sheshakalim mekablim mehem v'nikablim miyadam. We don't accept any gifts, any avot from goyim. Now we're going to see a machloket amoraim in the Gemara about it. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. In the beginning, when they were building the Beit HaMikdash, when they were putting the bricks together, in mekablim mehem lo davar mesuyam v'lo davar she'eno mesuyam. We don't accept from them anything that is of significance, which is davar hanir'a la'ain. Okay, so for example, look kesef, כי כסף, אתה לא רואה אותו בעין בית המקדש. הם לוקחים את הכסף וקונים איתו דברים.
גולד.
נגיד אם הם רוצים להקדיש שער. If they want to dedicate like an entrance to בית המקדש. So זה דבר הנראה לעין, זה דבר מסוים, it's something of significance. לא מקבלים מהם.
Wait, you started the daf? You started the daf?
Yeah,
ד'.
sorry. ד' עמוד א', שכם. ד' עמוד א'. עומר רבי יוחנן.
Sorry about this, like zoning out.
Feel free to project at any time. If you can't hear me, let me know. Talk loud.
Yeah.
Amar Rabbi Yochanan. We said in the Mishnah that we don't accept any nidavot, any donations from goyim, from non-Jews. So we're going to have a machloket amoraim now as to what that means. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, betchila, in the beginning of the Beis HaMikdash, in the beginning of the building of the Beit HaMikdash, en mekablim mehem lo davar mesuyam, not something of significance or something that's seen to the eye. So for example, if they want to dedicate an entrance to the Beit HaMikdash, one of the sharim or something like that, that we see, we don't accept from them. V'lo davar she'eno mesuyam. In the beginning, we don't accept from them something that's nir'a la'ain or something that's eno mesuyam, like salt or water or money. That's not something that stays. And at the end, after the Beit HaMikdash is already built, where whatever money goes in usually goes for the maintenance, for the upkeep of the Beit HaMikdash, mekablim mehem davar she'eno mesuyam. We only take something that's not as significant, so for example, salt, water, money. Ve'en mekablim mehem davar mesuyam, but we don't take from them something that is significant or something that we can see for the eye so that they can't take credit for it.
So maintenance is fine.
Yes, according to Rabbi Yochanan.
But isn't money significant?
Only if it's davar she'eno mesuyam. Significant means something that you could see. So for example, the rabbi likes to say tissue boxes. Like, I think that would be considered davar mesuyam because when you, I mean, especially if it has their logo, whatever it is on it, or tables, for example, or chairs. That's something that when you come in, you see it.
Yeah, but overall maintenance,
we don't want them to take credit.
It kind of gets mixed in with everyone else, so you don't really see.
Right.
But if it's like the electric bill, okay,
Yeah.
the money, you pay electric bill, you pay water, you don't know where the money goes.
Cleaning lady. You know what? If the electric bill, right? Let's say, for example, hypothetically, if it's mixed in with other Jewish people's money, sure. But if it's only the goyim who are paying, like a goy pays the only one paying the electric bill, that's
Maybe
something
this one no.
specific.
Maybe this one no. But if it's like a
It has
general
to be
money
mixed, I feel like,
donation,
with other people, other
Yeah.
Jewish people's things, so it's not like obvious that he's the one responsible for it.
Right, and I think the distinction here is whether they're giving it when we're building the Beit HaMikdash or after the Beit HaMikdash is already built, just for maintenance. So when they're building it, both Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish will see, they both hold when the Beit HaMikdash is being built, we don't accept anything. Why? Because we don't want to be in a position where
I help to
the
build it.
construction, or they take,
So how come Shlomo HaMelech directly violated that?
where the construction is contingent upon, let's say, a non-Jewish donation or a Goy's donation, we don't want to be in that position. After it's already built, as long as we don't see it, where they could go and take credit for it and be like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, Shlomo HaMelech literally encouraged goyim to come and build.
We'll see. We'll see. There's a machloket. ובסוף מקבלים דבר שאינו מסוים והם מקבלים עם דבר מסוים. רב שמעון בן לקיש אמר, Rish Lakish says, בין בתחילה בין בסוף, whether it's in the beginning of the building of the Beit HaMikdash or at the end after it's already built, הם מקבלים עם לא דבר מסוים ולא דבר שאינו מסוים. We don't take anything, whether it's significant or seen to the eye or whether it's insignificant like salt, water, money. Frag the Gemara asks, Mas Nisin pliga al Rabbi Yochanan. The Gemara asks on Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan makes a distinction if it's in the beginning or at the end. In the beginning he says we don't accept anything. At the end he says we accept something that's not of significance. But we see from the Mishnah, in mekablin mehen hektish, in mekablin mehem hektish when the Mishnah says clearly that we don't accept from them anything. And the Gemara's assumption, I guess, when the Gemara is asking this question, is that the Mishnah is talking about whether it's in the beginning or whether it's in the end. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, at the end, we do accept from them something that's in Mesuyam.
Beginning of the building of the Beit HaMikdash?
In the beginning of the building of the Beit HaMikdash, when we were putting the bricks together, Rabbi Yochanan says that we don't accept anything, but at the end, Rabbi Yochanan says that we're allowed to accept something that is not nira la'ayin, that's she'eno davar mesuyam. But our Mishnah seems to say that in mikablim im hekdushin davar lebedek habayis that we don't accept anything from them. So it's a shayla and Rabbi Yochanan.
Oh, so that's the smoke here, though? He's saying in the beginning that you're not accepting it, and then he's saying that you do accept it.
No, this is a question.
So the Mishnah is Tanaim. Rabbi Yochanan, the machlekes here we have between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish is between Amiran. They cannot argue on a Mishnah that says something totally different unless they could have another Tana or another Mishnah to support it. So what we're asking now is, according to Rabbi Yochanan, after the Beit HaMikdash is already built, Rabbi Yochanan holds that we're allowed to accept from a Nochri davar she'eno mesuyam, something that is not nira la'ayin. But the Mishnah seems to indicate that in mikablim mehem ekdeshun davar lebedek habayit, we don't accept anything from them, which seems to indicate whether it's in the beginning or at the end. So it's a shayla and Rabbi Yochanan. And for the Gemara answer is pater la bein betchila ben besayf uvilvad davar mesuyam. The Gemara is going to give two ways to answer this. Number one is you could either say that when the Mishnah is saying ein mekablim mehem hekdesh v'nadav lebedek habayis, the Mishnah is referring to whether it's in the beginning or at the end, but the Mishnah is only referring to davar mesuyam, and therefore it's not a question on Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Yochanan says that at the end you're only allowed to accept from them something she'eno mesuyam. So Rabbi Yochanan and the Mishnah do not contradict each other. Another answer to the shayla is patala b'mesuyam. I think there's a change in the verbiage over here. It is another way to answer this is patarla betchila. Another way to answer this is that the Mishnah is referring to, when the Mishnah says we don't accept anything, it's the Mishnah is referring to betchila when we're building the Beit HaMikdash, shafilu ma'otav yolichem layam hamelech. Shafilu ma'ot, which is davar she'eno mesuyam, which is money that's not seen to die, yolichem layam hamelech, and we don't accept it from them. And therefore, so there's two ways to answer this. Either the question was, Rabbi Yochanan seems to say that after the Beit HaMikdash is already built, we accept from them davar she'eno mesuyam. That's contradictory to the Mishnah that says that we don't accept from them anything. So the Gemara gives two answers to answer it. One answer is that we're referring to either in the beginning, either both at the beginning and at the end, meaning that when the Mishnah says we don't accept anything, the Mishnah is referring to both at the beginning, ben betchila ben basof, but it's referring to only something mesuyam, which Rabbi Yochanan agrees, davar mesuyam, you don't accept at the beginning or at the end. Another way to answer this is that really we're talking betchila, the beginning of the building of the Beit HaMikdash, and the Mishnah means that even davar she'eno mesuyam, yolichem layam, and we don't accept anything from them. Those are the two ways to answer the question of Rabbi Yochanan on the Mishnah. Now the Gemara is going to go on to discuss the other opinion of Rish Lakish. Rish Lakish says, Reb Shimon ben Lakish Amar, bein betchila or bein besayf, whether it's in the beginning or at the end, whether it's in the building or after the building of the Beis HaMikdash, ein mekabel mehem lo davar mesuyam. Rish Lakish holds that we don't accept anything from them. In fact, the Gemara, Amas Nisan Pligi Reb Shimon ben Lakish, we have a Mishnah that argues on Rish Lakish, the Tanya, Kol Shavin, everyone agrees, Shehein Naidrim V'Nidarim, that a goy could be noder something to the Beit HaMikdash, V'Nidarim. So we see that, I think this is a Mishnah in Erechin, there's a machlekes Rabbi Yehuda and Rameir, but it basically says, if let's say a guy goes says, and I am neither to give the value of another person to the Beit HaMikdash, or if let's say a Jew says, I vow to give the value of a non-Jew to the Beit HaMikdash, there's and the Mishnah in Erechin explains over there that every person has a value, depending on age, depending on a few factors, and when someone says the value of this person is on me to give as a donation, the question is whether when a non-Jew says that, is it an actual commitment? Do we hold the non-Jew to it, the guy to it, and tell him that he has to bring in the devout, or do we not accept it at all? So the Mishnah over there says, Akol Shavi, and everyone agrees, Shehein Naidrin V'Nidarim, that they could both make the neder, and the neder could be made on them. So the value of this guy is on me, that is a valid neder that I would have to give it. And what do we see? That there is circumstances where a guy does bring a neder to the Beit HaMikdash. And Rish Lakish holds that he seems to hold categorically that there's no way in which a guy could bring a neder to the Beit HaMikdash. because Rish Lakish says, bin b'tchila, bin b'sof, in mekablim. So it's a shaila on Rish Lakish from the Mishnah. My answer is patar la ayla. We can answer this that when the Mishnah says over there, shehein naidrin v'nidarim, it doesn't mean that they're bringing a donation. It doesn't mean that they're bringing a donation. It means that they're bringing a korban olah. But you know, a korban olah they could bring. Asks the Gemara, korban olah. I think we learned yesterday they cannot bring a chatat and a sham.
But Korban Olah is like
A korban olah, shekalil Hashem, it's fully to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they're allowed to bring. Ask the Gemara, the Gemara is essentially answering that when the Mishnah over there says shehen nodrin v'nidarim, we're referring to where they're saying that they're essentially ani noder lavin dava. When a guy says that, then it's valid, even according to Rish Lakish. Ask the Gemara, nicha naidrin ayla v'nidarim. Ask the Gemara, okay, so if that Mishnah is where they're bringing in the ayla, it makes sense the word naidrim where they're essentially committing to bring in ayla. But what does it mean v'nidarim? V'nidarim means that if, let's say, a Jew says on a goy, his value is on me. So how is it possible for a goy to say the value of this olah is on me? How is it? It doesn't make sense with the verbiage, with the word nidarin, to explain that Mishnah is talking about by a korban olah. V'nidarin. How could you explain that Mishnah is talking about by a korban olah? Nicha naidrin. Ayla. Nidarin. So there's a few different ways to read the Gemara over here. Answers the Gemara, Ella. What the Mishnah says over there, Nidarin, means Kishamar Yisrael Harei Alai Ayla. When Yisrael said, I'm committing to bring a korban olah, V'shama Nachri, and the guy heard that the Yisrael said that, V'amar Masha Amar Zeh Alai. That's a way where we could explain the word Nidarin, because Nidarin means where you accept someone else's obligation essentially, or someone else's value onto you as a donation. So the Gemara was bothered with if we're going to explain the Mishnah over there, that it's referring to bringing a korban olah, and therefore it's not going to be contradictory to Rish Lakish, and they're both going to agree that a guy can never bring a nidava. What's that word nidarin? How do we explain that? So the Gemara answers that's referring to a scenario where the guy overheard a Jew saying that he's going to bring an olah, and the guy heard that and he said, whatever he said is on me also. That's another example of nidarin.
So he did that specifically on the Korban Olah.
Yes. So take a step back. We have the Gemara is asking a question. Rish Lakish seems to hold that a goy can never bring any nidavat to the Beit HaMikdash. The Gemara asks from another Mishnah that says that naidrin v'nidarim, that we see that a guy could make a neder to bring the value of someone as a donation, or a Jew can make a neder to bring the value of the goy as a donation. So what do we see? That there are circumstances where a goy could bring a donation. So that's contradictory to Rish Lakish. The Gemara answers no. That Mishnah is not referring to a guy bringing an nidava. That Mishnah is referring to a guy bringing a korban olah. But the Gemara asks on that, how could we explain the Mishnah in that way, where that Mishnah is referring to a korban olah? The words don't make sense. Nodrin, where they're essentially promising to bring an olah, okay, that makes sense. But nidarin means that you're committing to donate the value of something else on you. How are you going to explain that as a korban olah? So the Gemara answers, the way we're going to explain that to apply by korban olah is where a guy overheard a Jew saying, Harei zeh alai olah, and the guy said, whatever he said is on me also. So that's another scenario. That's how we could define the word nidarin.
So the way we explain it on the Korban Olah is if the Goy specifically says on the Jew's Olah, Korban Olah, then he's also going to bring it.
Correct. So nodrim is where the guy says, I'm noder to bring an olah, and nodrin means that the guy overheard the Jew saying, yeah, I'm going to bring the korban olah, and the guy said, and the guy said, And the guy said, מה שאמר זה עליי. Or whatever
I'm
he
also
said.
in. אומר לו, I'm also in.
מה שהוא אמר עליי, כן.
אני לוקח עליי.
But this scenario, the Korban also doesn't explain and justify the whole bringing the value of a person, right? Because it's talking about Korban Olah.
So we're, right, and the
It's not
reason
explaining,
why...
oh, I'm bringing the value of this boy, or I'm bringing the value of this Jew. That doesn't, the scenario with the Korban Olah doesn't explain that specific scenario.
The scenario of the Korban Olah is an alternative to that explanation, because we can't explain that Mishnah to mean
Right.
that the goy says, I'm bringing the value to the Beit HaMikdash. Why? Because Rish Lakish holds that a goy can never bring a nedava.
Right.
So if we explain that Mishnah that the guy is bringing a nedava, it's contradictory. So now the Gemara tries to explain that Mishnah is not really talking about where the guy is trying to bring a nedava, rather it's talking about where the guy is trying to bring a Korban Olah. But the Mishnah over there, the words don't make sense. Nodrin ben nidarin. So the Gemara explains, nidarin means that the guy overheard the Jew saying, and then he said, Areze alai. Ask the Gemara, l'chayra, ve'inay mevi imay nesachim. A Korban Olah, you have to bring nesachim with it. You have to bring kemach solet b'ra b'shemen, ve'yan,
Libation.
libation.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, libation.
So now that we explained that Mishnah over there is talking about where he brings the Korban Olah, the guy also brings with him Nesachim. Umaysar Nesachim. And the remainderment of Nesachim. So, מעולה, זאת אומרת שגוי לא יכול להביא את היין. אז אם אני לא טועה
גם
שם...
אסור לא יכול להביא יין.
נכון, והוא גם לא יכול להביא את הקמח כי הוא טמא. כי גוי טמא. אז מה שהם היו עושים זה, what they used to do is, they used to bring, I think they used to bring money. There's a מחוקת in the Gemara over there.
בית for them.
אבל מה קורה עם שאר הכסף? כאילו, נגיד, הגוי בא מביא $100, אבל באמת הקמח והיין, הכל על ה-80. האקסטרה $20 האלה הם מה? הם נדבה, they're מייסר נסחים. זה מה שנותר מהנסחים שהגוי הביא, מה שנותר מהנסחים שהגוי הביא, זה לא נחשב קורבן עולה שמותר לגוי להביא. זה נחשב כמו נדבה. ואם זה נחשב כמו נדבה, ריש לקיש סובר שגוי לא יכול להביא כלום, הגוי cannot bring anything. So, even if you explain that Mishnah is talking about a korban olah, we have an issue. Because the
extra wine.
korban, yeah. So buy extra wine, and then it's not going to the Beit HaMikdash.
For the next time. I don't know. They have reserve, no? You know,
Let's
you
see,
shop this way, go to the store, give me wine in $100.
Oh, but the Shelat Dava, because the Gemara is holding now that extra that's left over from the guy is considered an Dava. Let's see. Veina maybe my Nisachim, asked the Gemara, and if we explain that Mishnah over there is talking about Korban Olah, doesn't he bring with him the Nisachim, Umota Nisachim, and the remainderment of the Nisachim, whatever is left over? Lo le Klei Sharetinun. Does it not go to the Klei Sharet to buy utensils for the Beit HaMikdash? So asked the Gemara, Nimtza mevi mo davar sheino mesuyam. So what do we see from here? That even if we explain that the Mishnah is talking about an Ayla, the guy has to bring Nisachim, and the remainderment of the Nisachim goes to buying utensils for the Beit HaMikdash. So we see that a guy could bring a Nidava. And now we're back to square one. We have a question on Rish Lakish. Rish Lakish holds a guy can never bring anything. Ben Batchila, Ben Basof, Ben Omevi Davar Mesuyam, Davar Sheino Mesuyam. Over here we see that even if you explain that the Mishnah is talking about a Korban Olah, the guy still brings with him Nisachim, and there's always something extra left over from the Nisachim that goes to buying utensils for the Beit HaMikdash. So we see...
What does that mean? They sell the wine that's left over?
I think...
What does that mean buy the left, whatever's left, buy the kelim?
So I may be wrong, but I think the way I understand this is every Korban Olah you have to bring with it the kemach. There's certain... What do you call it before?
So wine, no?
The wine and the flour...
Libation.
Libation.
Yeah, the libation.
The libation. But a guy cannot bring libation because the guy's tameh. So we don't accept the wine that he brings or the kemach that he brings. So what does he do instead? He gives some shekels, he gives some money, and then the Beit HaMikdash. We take wine and we bring it with his korban olah. But the money that he brings is never an exact amount to what the libations are. There's always a little bit extra. And what happens with that extra? That's used to go and buy utensils for the Beit HaMikdash. So at the end of the day, even if we explain that Mishnah is talking about a korban olah, at the end of the day, we still are left off with a scenario where the goy is essentially bringing a nedava to the Beit HaMikdash, and we accept it.
It's so simple. What do you mean? If there's anything left over, just mix it in with the maintenance money and that's it.
Right, but according to Rish Lakish, we don't accept anything from them. Ben Batchila, because there's a machloket Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan holds we only accept from them after the Beit HaMikdash is built, davar she'eno mesuyam. Rish Lakish says no, beginning, after, whether it's before the Beit HaMikdash is built, after, whether it's something relevant, significant, not significant, we don't accept anything. Over here we see that we do accept what's left over of the Nisachim that they bring, and that goes to buy utensils for the Beit HaMikdash. So there's a scenario where we do accept something from a goy, or midava from a goy. So that's contradictory to Rish Lakish. Answers the Gemara, Heisev Rabbi Yosi bar Rabbi Bun. V'hatanina nerachin v'orchin. That's a Mishnah over there that says, there's a machloket Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda and Erechin in the Mishnah over there, whether a goy could be nerach, which is essentially the goy saying, the Jew saying on the non-Jew the value of him is on to me as in a davar. The orchin is whether if they could actually, is whether if a goy could say the value of a goy is on me to bring in a davar. But the Mishnah says over there, Lo lebedek habayit, the way we answered over there according to Rabbi Yehuda, that holds that they're archin but not nerachin, is that it doesn't go to bedek habayis. Heich ma da'at amar taman l'shamayim, who just like you said over there, that whatever they left off, meaning their donation is not coming from a place where I want to donate. It's just coming from a place where they want to give a donation or a contribution for a higher purpose. They're not saying they want to give it as a donation for the Beit HaMikdash so that they see their stuff in the Beit HaMikdash or for the purposes of the Beit HaMikdash. They're just giving it for a higher purpose. They're making a donation, a higher contribution. Over here, when the goy brings the mutar nesachim, whatever's left over from those libations, he doesn't want to donate it to buy utensils for the Beit HaMikdash. He's donating it for the purpose of making a donation for a higher
Leftover
purpose.
for him doesn't even matter. He doesn't care about the leftover. He wants to bring the libation. He wants to bring the...
Exactly, but according to our halachot, whatever's left over, we know, we buy utensils.
But we're saying because he doesn't want anything specifically done with it.
Exactly, just like we said over there that he's just, his intention was to bring it to Shamayim as a donation. Because we decided that it goes to buy Kli Sharet, it does not mean that that's what he's donating it for. So therefore it's not contradictory to Rish Lakish, and we still see that a guy never brings a donation.
So you're saying because he didn't have in mind that he was going to buy the
The
utensils, then it's okay that he's giving the money to the Ola, and then some of the money goes to the utensils.
Yes, why? Because who made the decision that whatever is left over from those libations goes to buy the Kli Sharet? That's our rules. That's our internal rules. Meaning, when the guy's coming to bring down the nesachim, he's not intending to bring it to. He's intending to bring it to Shamayim. He just wants to bring an olah that all goes to Shamayim. Our internal rules do not. Basically, the Gemara is answering that it automatically goes to bedek habayit, but the guy's intentions are not that it goes there, and therefore those type of donations we accept. And it's not contradictory to Rish Lakish that holds that we don't accept anything from them. The Gemara is going to end off with, where did Rish Lakish get his din from that we don't accept anything from? So Rish Lakish gets his source for this from the Pasuk in Ezra. Reb Shimon ben Lakish patar lo lachem velanu livnot bet Elokenu. Rish Lakish learns this din that we don't accept anything from a goy from the Pasuk in Ezra that says, "Lo lachem velanu livnot bait leElokenu, ki anachnu yachad nibnei laHashem Elokenu kasher tziva melech, koresh melech paras." Rish Lakish learns from that Pasuk that we don't accept anything. That then the Gemara adds, Reb Chizkiya Amar Reb Simon. Reb Chizkiya Amar Reb Simon Shar, he asked in his Beis Medrash if they agree with that halacha. Reb Simon adds to that, not only don't we accept, so Rish Lakish holds we don't accept any donations to the Beit HaMikdash. Reb Simon adds to that, me'ata en mekablin la'amat hamayim u'lechomot ha'ir u'migdaloteha al shem shene'emar ve'lechem en chelek. Reb Simon expands on that, and it says that not only don't we accept donations from Goyim for the Beit HaMikdash, we don't accept donations even for the Amat hamayim, which I think it means the aqueduct that runs through Yerushalayim, u'lechomot ha'ir, and for the walls of the city, u'migdaloteha, and for its towers. Meaning, Reb Simon takes it a step further and he learns from a pasuk in Nehemiah that not only don't we bring not only don't we accept donations to Beit HaMikdash, we don't accept donations for anything related to Yerushalayim. עד כאן. ברוך אדוני אלוהים לעולם.